We now move to Xolani Mbanjwa, who is speaking to MPs and economists ahead of the minister's speech. He joins us now. Xolani, good afternoon, and thank you so much for your time. It's just about 50 minutes before the minister makes his address. We know that he will be touching on a lot of issues that will impact the economy. What are some of the economists predicting will be the impact of today's speech?
Yeah, good afternoon from City Hall here in Cape Town. It's really close to that 2 p.m. Time, a couple of minutes before then, and already we are seeing a number of MPs being buzzed in, coming through to actually hear the budget speech. Quite a difficult one that is expected. As you will see, these are MPs that are now being buzzed in, coming from the National Assembly, where they were having their own meetings before coming through. We are seeing Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma, the Minister of Kokta, and a number of other ministers and cabinet ministers who would have received an update and a briefing from the National Treasury prior to this particular start at 2 p.m. There are many issues that the minister has to contend with, but the most important one is that the budget deficit is actually rising, and he did hint in the midterm budget last year that we might see some possible new taxes being imposed, whether that is a personal income tax or corporate taxes or a wealth tax, which is what most people are hoping for. It still remains to be seen. But on the other side, he did also say that many programs that actually have a role in service delivery will be affected in the reconfiguration of the state. But to talk more on the tax side of things and what the tax experts actually expect, I'm joined now by Ruben Johannes, who is with Deloitte. Ruben, thank you very much for your time. A huge budget speech once again. Looking back at the past 5 years, and SARS in particular, how have they performed? Because the past 5 years, we've seen them reaching their tax collection forecasts. This year, it's said to be something that is going to be quite a difficult one. What do you expect as the expert?
Good afternoon, Xolani, and thanks for having me. So on your question about collections in the last couple of years, so yes, there has been some time where we've collected more than what's been expected. That was principally driven by the commodity boom that we experienced. So our mining companies contributed quite significantly to our taxes. That is not expected to happen this year. In fact, during the medium-term budget policy statement towards the end of last year, the minister forecast that we'd have a shortfall in collections of some 56 billion rand. So that's what we're forecasting. That deficit that shortfall may in fact grow.
So how likely is it? You are a tax expert. How likely is it that we might see the minister either, number one, raiding the South African Reserve Bank contingency fund, or two, coming to the taxpayer, you and I, to actually increase personal income taxes in a stagnant economy, or raising corporate taxes or wealth taxes?
Yeah. So your first question on the contingency reserve, so that's up for debate whether the minister will touch that. But if he does, it's been suggested that that comes with some serious conditions and that money be spent wisely. On the tax collection side, I don't foresee any significant tax increases. So that's for corporate tax or personal income tax as well as VAT. Given that it's an election year, and by the minister's own admission previously, South Africans are overtaxed. So I don't think there's any more room to increase taxes any further. So I don't foresee that happening. Today, what we may well see is a less than inflationary increase in personal income tax brackets. And so what that will do, what that will mean is, though, even though your real income hasn't increased, you may end up paying a little bit more tax because of bracket creep, and so you're moving into the next tax bracket and paying a little bit more personal tax. I think carbon taxes could increase so that it more closely aligns with global levels. And then I also think we'll see the introduction of Pillar 2, which is your global minimum tax legislation for large multinationals.
Ruben, thank you very much for your time. You heard it from the tax expert, Ruben Johannes from Deloitte. He says he is not expecting any tax increases, not this year, not in a stagnant economy, so you shouldn't worry about that, at least from their expert opinion. But where will the money come from? Will they raid the South African Reserve Bank contingency fund? The Reserve Bank already said that, confirmed rather, that they are in talks with the National Treasury to make sure that some of that 497 billion rand is actually used to actually fill in that gap that is the budget shortfall, as we expect that it's going to be a difficult tax collection year. Back to you in studio.
Well, I can imagine, Xolani, that many are crossing fingers for those taxes not to be increased, but we will find out in just about 45 minutes when the Minister of Finance gives us that address. Now,